Hi there, welcome to the Friday Forum Live, broadcasting from Point Blank Studios here in the heart of East London. I'm Marcus Barnes, and today we're doing something extra special. We've got a brand new thing that we're trying out today, Google Hangouts. We're going to be here with Jonny Miller, who's going to be taking us through some Ableton techniques. Before we get into that though, I have to bring you up to speed on some stuff that's been going on around the college this week. First of all, we kicked off our competition to win some headphones from III. Every week you can win a brand new pair of headphones. Just go over to our blog and you can find out more about that. Secondly, we have our 10% discount on diplomas. All of the diplomas have a 10% discount this month, so make sure you head over to our website to find out more information about that. And finally, online courses start on Monday, so make sure you sign up. Go and check out the information on our website, pointblankonline.net. So, Jonny, here we are.
Marcus, how you doing?
I'm not bad, man. How are you?
Cool, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you.
So, yeah, this is a bit of a new thing for both of us. Obviously, you're an online shooter, so you're used to kind of doing this kind of interactive stuff. But
yes.
Can you just give us an overview of what you're going to be taking us through over the next half an hour?
Okay, well, I make a lot of DJ mixes in Ableton Live, as well as obviously making all my tracks and remixes in Live. But the DJ mixes, though, I personally like to just not do the standard sort of blend and one track after the other. I like to get in and kind of do cut and paste edits, and make the transitions between the different tracks special in some way, whether it's adding things or again just making edits in the right places. But it all goes back to, I think, the vinyl DJ in me, which is what I used to love was just finding two records that really worked well together.
Yeah, I've noticed you've got a load of vinyl in the background there, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, that's some of it anyway. So they're the special ones. So, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be looking at how we can use Live to make your DJ mixes a little bit better, and also I'm going to be looking at using one of the new Live 9 functions, drums to MIDI, to build a beat idea in a slightly non-traditional way.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, so let's get cracking.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to Ableton. Let's just share the screen here, and now hopefully you guys should be able to see my screen. Hopefully that's all come through all right.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Bright and clear, yeah, man.
Right, so this is just for this demonstration. So I've got a couple of full tracks in here, a couple of deep house tracks that I like. And if I switch over to Arrange View, here's the first track, and I'm going to start layering the second track in the right place and start looking at the transition. Let's start with just playing actually the intro of this track, because I'm going to use some of the keys that are at the beginning of this tune in my transition. So let's just play this. So we've got these nice warm keys and pads. And that's how the track begins. I'm going to use them at the end of the mix. Let's look at the end of the track. Just move this out of the way like that. Let's just look at the end of the track, and this is the area of the track where I'm going to be doing my mix, towards the end of the tune, where things start to break down a bit.
Yeah.
So here we've got another kind of warm keys section, little synth stabs in there.
Cool.
And I'm going to start overlaying some of the different parts now into this mix, but the first thing I need to do is grab my second track. This is the second track that's going to be in the mix, and if I play how this one begins, and this one just starts with sort of traditional drums, kind of Afro house tip. This is an jazz Jimmy Bones track. But let's just drop this over into Arrange View. So to do this, I'm going to click on the track, on the clip, and just hit Tab, and that's just going to drop me over into Arrange View, and I can just place this now just in the right spot. So let me just close this down so you don't see those bits. Right, so let's play the transition. This is just your sort of traditional standard crossover now. Whereas one track, kind of the beats fall away, and the next track begins. That's nice and traditional. That's kind of what we would do if we were playing CDs or records, you know, we just do a traditional kind of overlap. And that's fine, but I'm going to start adding these new elements now. I'm going to take the keys from the beginning of the first track. I was talking about that a couple of moments ago. Let's just copy, let's just do this. Let me quickly just loop this little section here. I'm just hitting Command L, and just to take this first intro. Okay, I'm going to right click and crop. And now I've just got that part on its own in a single clip. Now I'm going to drop that over into Arrange View, but first, just so I don't get confused, I'm just going to change the color of the clip as well. So let's drop this over, and there it is. I might actually add a new audio track in here as well. Just hit Command T there, just to add a new audio track. So I've got some space to put this in on a separate track. There we go. So let's just lay the keys over the end section now. If I turn the adjusting off for a second. Okay, so if I can take my keys now, that's playing on top of this. So that's kind of one edit straight away. I've used a little portion of the beginning of the track over the end of it, just to kind of make it my own, really. And if I just drag,
gives it a bit of continuity as well, doesn't it? Jonny,
sorry?
Gives it a bit of continuity as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, just, you know, just taking the little best bits of the track and just overlaying them one on top of the other. Now, that's all well and good, but I'm also going to try something else. I'm going to create a new MIDI part now with one of Ableton 9's new functions, which is harmony to MIDI. And if I right-click inside the clip, and this is again on that keys part, we've got the convert to MIDI options here. Convert harmony to MIDI, that's for polyphonic audio, so chords, any audio that has, you know, a complex tonal quality to it. We've got melody to MIDI, and that's ideal for monophonic audio, for single notes. And I use this function actually to, you know, whistle into my computer, record a little bit of audio of me whistling. It might be a melody that I have in my head if I'm making a track and I want to get that melody down, you know, you can use this function really well. I'm also going to use the drums to MIDI a little bit later on, but for now, because this audio clip that I'm dealing with here is chords, I'm going to use the harmony to MIDI track, and I'm going to create a new MIDI part, which is going to be contain what Ableton thinks that chord part is made up of. So let's have a look at it. That's what it's given me.
Cool.
And let's just zoom in a bit here so you can see. Now, quite often you have to do a little bit of work to tidy things up, you know. It's not always perfect. And let me just move that position. There we go. Just crop this. Right. Let's have a play now. Let's just listen to what Ableton has given me. So it's taken this audio here, and it's given me this. So that's not too bad, actually. I've found instances where the harmony to MIDI and melody to MIDI doesn't quite get it right every time. But I think,
sometimes it's a bit off, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it's a brand new function for Live 9. I'm sure in future updates of Ableton they're going to improve on this technology. I think it's just the very first step, really.
Yeah, most
but that, you know, in itself isn't bad. It's got all the essential keys, you know, that make up that audio, you know, make up that little chord progression there. So the harmony to MIDI conversion has given me this kind of default piano sound, which is great, but I'm going to change the patch. I'm going to hit hot swap, and I'm going to go into the instrument racks and find a pad. There's a pad in here I really like that I often try out when I'm making tunes, which is called the Snow pad.
Cool.
And if I load that in, it's really nice. It's a multi-layered patch which uses arpeggios and a chord device to kind of convert whatever you play through it into chords. Let's see what it's done.
Yeah, that sounds well cool, man.
So that's a little bit different to the original audio. So it's taken that, and now I've got this. So it's of a similar theme. And what I'm really doing here is kind of creating my own music for this mix. Let's just get rid of this for a moment, original chords. I'll just deactivate that clip. And I want to hear what it sounds like if I just duplicate this over. And I'm just hitting Command D there just to duplicate the individual MIDI clips. Let's hear what this mix sounds like now, because I've added my own keys to that now. Let's have a listen. That's nice. So this is the original bit. That's what I'm adding into.
Yeah, that's
Let's
nice,
just keep that going. I'm just going to duplicate it a few more times. So now, track 1 is finished. So all we're hearing now is the second track of the mix and my new MIDI parts. Let's bring the keys back in. Let's just activate that clip again. And I'll duplicate it a few times. This is great. So I'm really almost remixing now. I'm taking elements of the first tune and kind of blending them into the second one. So that's the using harmony to MIDI. And that's Notepad, that's just a pad patch that I always use, but you know, when you're doing this, you could always try out all the other pad sounds, you could try strings, just different instruments really, to see what you get. There's a certain amount of kind of trial and error here. And in this instance, it's worked really nicely.
So when do you typically use this technique? I mean, I know you said that you use it when you're recording mixes, but do you ever use it when you're sort of playing out, or is it just literally when you're recording mixes?
Not really playing out, no. I mean, like I said earlier, I do a lot of mixes using Ableton for radio. I produce the Southport Weekend radio show, so that every month, involves putting mixes together. Also, for my label, Sonar Pilot, we do artist mixes where instead of just doing a live DJ mix, we sequence everything like this and make it really special. So but I don't actually use Ableton as a DJ in a club.
Right.
No, I like to use the Pioneer setup, the CDJs, and, as I have done been a DJ for a long time. So this is a little bit more of kind of bringing production into the realm of DJing.
Well, I think it's really worth it, especially these days. You have so many. There's an abundance of podcasts out there, and if you're willing to put in the work and give it a bit more depth and a bit more, and show that you've put a lot of work into it, I think it counts a lot more, because there's almost too many podcasts these days. So to do something like this,
I do honestly see DJ mixes as works of art. You can really, especially with the technology we have now, functions like this. You can do so much more than just put one tune after the other. And so personally, that's what I adhere to. I always try and do something special, and whether it's adding new elements like this, or re-editing, or overlaying percussion parts, even percussion. Using drums to MIDI, which we're going to use in a minute. Bringing that in here and taking maybe some of the drum sounds from the Jazz tune and creating additional percussion parts. So midway through the track, maybe if it breaks down, go into a breakdown or something, you can bring in some of your own sounds. You know, that sort of idea of bringing your production into your DJ mixes, I think is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man, definitely.
Okay, so that's the DJ stuff. Shall I move on now to the drums to MIDI? Should we look at that?
Yeah,
that's
let's check
more
that
of
out,
a kind of production angle, but it's something else that uses one of the new Live 9 converts functions, the audio recognition functions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to crack on with this. And what I've got here is just a percussion loop. And I just solo this and play the loop. Very simple loop. Now, this is the kind of thing that normally when you're working with loops as a producer, you start with a beat and then you think, okay, what can I add to this beat? I want to add some percussion, some congas or bongos or shakers or something. And then you go through your loops and you kind of add them to taste. What I'm going to do here is kind of do it the other way around. I'm going to start with a percussion loop and add the drums based on this particular rhythm. And it's something that I've found when I do it this way around, you invariably end up with a slightly more interesting, rhythm.
Yeah.
And something that sounds a little bit different, so you kind of just step sequencing everything bit by bit, starting with your kick, then putting in a snare, then putting in a hi-hat or whatever. Doing it this way around, you always get something interesting. So I'm going to take this loop and right-click again, and instead of using the harmony melody ones, which I did before, I'm going to use convert drums to new MIDI track. That's going to give me a drum rack that contains just a default 606 drum kit. And of course, it's given me the MIDI clip as well. Based on the audio recognition, what Ableton thinks is happening inside this percussion clip. So it's taken all the sort of low-end nuances, the top-end sounds, and essentially the placement, where the different peaks are, and converted that into a MIDI clip for me. So again, we're going to play the audio clip first. And let's just see what Ableton has given me now.
Me? Yeah.
So the rhythms there, obviously they're very different sounds, but I'm just going to use this clip. I'm going to use these notes now to just create a new drum beat. So let's put them both together. If I just play, I'm going to solo these two. Okay, so that's the conga loop and the drums together.
Yeah.
Set it down a bit. There we go. Alright, so there's my MIDI clip. And that's cool, but I'm going to delete some of these notes and move some of these things around. I'm going to move this kick here and just put it on the 1. So I'm just using my arrow key here on my keyboard to just shift this over.
Yep.
Because I want to have a kick at the beginning of the bar. And let's maybe take out some of these snares too. And this is kind of almost like deconstructive. I've got all my MIDI notes here and I'm just going to strip it down a bit really. It's starting to kind of get the feel of a full beat now. I'm going to turn the conga down a bit and I'm also going to pitch down the conga. And this is something that I always do with percussion loops to just make them sound a little bit deeper and a bit more kind of, I don't know, cool for want of a better phrase. I'm just going to use the transpose and just knock that down a couple of semitones. Just so my percussion part just feels a little bit kind of more moody.
Yeah, that sounds wicked, man.
So this could start to sort of move towards like a kind of, I don't know, post-dubstep, kind of garagey, broken beat kind of thing where the rhythm's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
The main thing I think here is that the hats, are following the pattern of the conga. And that's really nice. Now from here, I've got all these other drum sounds that I can bring into the track, I can bring into the beats. So that's my first layer. Now very quickly, this will only take a minute. I'm just going to create a new MIDI track and load up a sampler device, if I can find it. Here it is, somewhere down here.
Jonny,
Right,
can you flick back so we can see your face for a bit?
Yes. Okay, Google Hangout.
Yeah, because we're hanging out.
That's me. I'm here.
There he is.
I am here. Do you know what though? I don't actually know how to do both. How do I have my camera and the Ableton? Shall I switch back to Ableton? Just carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Are people thinking that I'm kind of I'm not actually here? I'm
Yeah,
here
it's a new version of Ableton that's got its own voice.
Yeah, no, I believe me, I'm here, and I'm just focused, man. I'm in Ableton, and I'm trying to get on with this. Right, there we go. So I've shared the screen again now. So let me get on with this, man.
Yeah.
Right, samples. Let me go to my sample library, and let's find a little pad sample. Let's just drag this in here. So I've got a pad sample. I've loaded that into a sampler device. Now I'm going to use this MIDI clip, the one I've just been playing around with for my drums. Okay, I'm going to use that clip, use the MIDI, and just copy it over to the pad sample track. And at the moment, this is probably going to be quite low register, but yeah, so I'm just going to tune this up a bit. So I'm just changing the root note of the pad so we actually hear some sound. And again, just look at maybe editing this MIDI clip so I just get certain notes. Okay. So I've not actually programmed any new MIDI in here at all. The melody I'd need to do a bit more work on, you know, to work out which notes to actually use. But the idea is that I've used the MIDI from my drums and put it onto a track which is playing a pad sample, just purely to match the rhythm, you know, so that the pad notes follow what the drums are doing. So that's just one bar. It's a little bit boring if it just plays round and round. But again, to kickstart an idea, you know, because sometimes I think I've found anyway when I'm teaching the online schools, sometimes students find it difficult to just get those notes down, you know, to actually get a melody going, because they might not necessarily play keys or whatever, or it might be just the fact they're new to production and they're not really too sure where to put the notes. So this is a great way of, you know, Ableton kind of doing that for you, where you're working from a drum rhythm. You know, and again, if we trace this back a few moments to what I had at the start, I just had a conga loop. So that conga loop, the pattern created a MIDI clip using drums to MIDI. And then I used that MIDI clip on a pad sample just for the note position, and to create a musical element. So I've not played anything here at all. I've not programmed in any new MIDI notes or anything. I've just taken the MIDI from my drums. So that's the first step. You know, from here, it's really all about just developing your idea. And let's get back to, can you see me now?
There he is.
Great. That's yeah, hopefully that's given you a bit of insight anyway into, you know, using these functions, using the converts harmony to MIDI and converts drums to MIDI functions in Ableton 9, and how they can help you in a number of different ways for DJ mixes and also for your productions.
Yeah. No, it's really useful, man. I really like the drums to MIDI function. I think it's really cool, man. Because I think one of the things is that a lot of people find that making a drum loop is usually the start, isn't it? It's usually where people start off, and it can be quite a simple thing. But then, as you said, if you're trying to build a melody and stuff like that, it can be quite daunting. And like if you just do that, like you've just done, it's a good way to just kickstart your creative process. And
definitely, to get something down onto the page, it's super fast. And I mean, I used a conga loop there as an audio loop that gave me the actual note positions, you know. But I could have used, let's say I used a piano riff, you know, some kind of audio loop of a synth line. You know, with sample packs today, they come packed with, you know, loops of different riffs, different synth patterns. So using one of those and doing a drums to MIDI from an audio loop will give you the note positions of where each note of the keyboard line is, so to speak. And matching your drums to that can sound really nice. And essentially that's what I did here with the pad. You know, I used my drum pattern to trigger a pad sound. So, you know, you could use this in a few different ways, you know, starting with a drum loop, converting to MIDI, starting with a melody loop, converting to MIDI, all to give you the ingredients you need to add drums or to add new elements to your tune. They're very useful functions for kickstarting ideas. And I find when I do this as well, I always come up with something different and something that I would never have programmed, you know, from scratch. Which is
that's the whole point of it, isn't it? Really, it's finding new inspiration and sort of breaking down the stalemate that you can sometimes reach when you're in the studio.
Absolutely, I think Ableton is so fast as well. You know, the workflow, and I mean, you know, the way you know, when I switched to Ableton, I used to use other music software, and I've still got a lot of love for the other software packages, but for me, it's just speed, you know, and being able to use these functions to get an idea down while it's still in my head, you know. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm using the melody to MIDI quite a lot now on my own tracks for, you know, I'm hearing a melody in my head. And whereas before, I'd have to like play it, you know, with a keyboard. I'd have to find the notes. I don't really play keys. Whereas now I can record myself humming or whistling into my computer, use the audio to the melody to MIDI functions, and I've got that melody part down onto the page. But for me, that's been, you know, that's been brilliant. It's made my tracks a lot more musical as well, especially recently.
So how's all your production going at the moment anyway?
It's good. It's busy. Got a remix coming through on @Jazz's label Arco. That comes out next week actually. That's called B, and it's by an artist called Kid Funk from South Africa. And I'm going to be doing a lot more with a South African label called Soul Candy. I've already had a few things out on that label. Got a single coming out in, I think it's September, on Soul Candy, and then an album probably early next year. So,
oh wow, cool.
Yeah, lots of stuff happening. It's good.
Yeah, proper busy.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's all good.
So just to close up, in terms of audio to MIDI, melody to MIDI, drums to MIDI, what would your sort of ultimate piece of advice be, or your sort of key piece of advice that somebody could take away from this?
Okay, just experiment over and over again with it. You're not going to get the best results straight away, you know. And I've found that when I use audio, especially the melody and harmony to MIDI functions, I find it doesn't always get it right. And you know, you do have to try a few different things out. And it might be that, you know, if you've got a large sample library, like I have, you know, when you're experimenting, just throw a few loops into the pot. See which ones work and see which ones don't. And never give up. If the first, you know, if you take a loop and you do a melody to MIDI and Ableton doesn't recognize it at all, you know, just don't write the feature off, because it just so happens in that instance it hasn't worked. But the next time you try it, and you might get much better results. So there is a certain amount of trial and error. It's not, you know, it's not just this. It's not about straight lines. You know, it doesn't always work. But sometimes you just get some really lovely little magic bits that come out of these new functions that you wouldn't expect as well. So yeah, I think it's actually my favorite new function of Live, man. I guess it's the main selling point of the new version of Live as well. They're really pushing it. So.
Yeah, I can really sense
it's only going to get better.
I can really sense your enthusiasm as well for it.
That's just me, man. I just love making music. I love the creative process, and you know, being able to do stuff that's in your head, man. That's like, for me, since I started using Ableton, being able to get down what is in your head,
it's the most
easily,
important thing,
quickly.
isn't it? Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. You don't want to sort of have all these stumbling blocks before you've even got your idea out. You just want to do it straight away.
Yeah, well, I think time and just practicing obviously is the key, but there's definitely, things don't take so long to do here in Ableton, whereas, a process might take you 4 or 5 moves in another DAW. In Ableton, it's just like one move, it's there.
Instant.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked,
good,
Jonny.
man.
Hey man, it's been really cool hanging out with you via Google+.
Google Hangout, lovely.
Yeah.
It's excellent. It's been good.
And just for the sake of everyone that's watching, whereabouts are you? Because according to the guys in the studio, you're in your super duper studio up in North
My
London.
home studio. Well, these days a home studio is a computer.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky. I can kind of go wherever. I mean, I go to South Africa quite a bit, and when I go there, I take my laptop, and that is my studio. So I can go to someone's house and record them, or go into the Soul Candy studios and just kind of plug in. But yeah, this is also my house, and yeah, it's comfortable, man.
Nice one. Well, maybe in the future we'll be able to speak to you over in South Africa when you're over there as well. Do a hangout.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I'm gonna be there very soon, actually, and then again in our autumn, which is their spring. But yeah, all good. It's been good to chat to you, and hello to everyone at Point Blank.
Nice one. Yeah, that's been very useful, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Take care, man. Speak to you soon.
Nice one, Marcus. Take care, man. Peace.
See you later.
Okay.
So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Google Plus Hangouts. We're going to be trying out a few more of those. So just send us your feedback. Let you know what you thought about that. And before we go, don't forget that our online courses start on Monday. So if you're interested in taking an online course, check out pointblankonline.net. You can find out lots more information about all the courses that we offer. Thanks for tuning in to Friday Forum Live. We'll be back next Friday, 4 p.m.